In this lesson, we're going to be talking about building a forensic workstation. Now, if you're doing a lot of forensic investigations or forensic examinations, you may want to have a dedicated forensic workstation. And there's a lot of decisions that have to be made as you're building that forensic workstation. Of course, you're going to have hardware decisions to make, the types of interfaces, USB, FireWire, different interfaces for whether you want to be able to support SCSI or SATA or PATA or different interfaces for hard drives. And you're also going to want to think about what you've got for other types of hardware, whether you've got a floppy drive in case you're dealing with some old systems that have data stored in an old floppy, or whether you are going to have Blu-ray or DVD or CD, or those sorts of decisions that you're going to need to make as you're selecting the hardware that you are going to use. Now, another decision you're going to have to make is what operating system are you going to be running primarily on this forensic workstation? Now, there's a few things that you could do. One of the things you could do, for example, is use a live CD, and that way you're not actually storing anything to a primary hard drive, so nothing is writable in that regard, and you're not making changes to anything like that, which means you could just have basically a shell of a system that you plug hard drives into, and then you boot off this live CD. So there's a few choices around live CDs that you could make, and you can certainly Google the ones that are available. Primarily, they're Linux-based, and there are several that are available for forensic workstation usage. Now, speaking of Linux, you may actually want to have a dedicated Linux operating system installed, and by dedicated, I mean it's installed on the primary hard drive on your system as opposed to a live CD that's just portable and you're booting off the CD. Now, there are some advantages to having Linux or a Unix-like operating system as your primary operating system, and one of the reasons is because of the number of tools that are just built in, and we've gone over a lot of these tools in other lessons. Let me just do a quick refresher here. So we've got DD, and DD is a program that actually copies data bit for bit from a source image or hard drive to a destination, so you can make perfect bit for bit copies of a hard drive if you need to do that. Now, there's also this DCFL DD, which is an enhanced version of DD, and it takes into account some forensics capabilities. So it will do things like calculating a hash on the fly as it's doing the image. It will just do that for you without you having to calculate an image. I can also do things under Linux like doing an MD5 sum. So I can calculate an MD5 hash based on anything that I want, and MD5 is typically included in Linux or Unix-like operating systems. You usually have that. I've also got the ability to do a SHA-1 sum, so there's utilities for that as well, and sometimes that's built in. So I've got a lot of advantages here with using a Unix-like operating system or a Linux operating system, which is Unix-like. I've got some advantages in the number of inbuilt tools and utilities that are there. Now, let's examine Windows. So there's a lot of forensic programs that run only under Windows. So I've got one here called ProDiscover. So this ProDiscover here is a Windows program. It only runs under Windows, and you can see it's graphical in nature, and it's got some ability to store and categorize data for you so that you can do easy analysis on it. Now, that's one utility, and I can kill that, and let's take a look at another one here. Another one we can take a look at is FTK, which is the Forensic Toolkit. FTK is another Windows-only program. One of the things that FTK will actually do is FTK will do an automated analysis of an image that you've got, and it will go and pull a lot of different information. So you can see file status here as a column and file category. So it will show you the number of graphics files, the number of database files, the number of spreadsheets, and you can actually take a look at those as you're flipping through the different tabs. You can also explore the file system and you can run searches, but one of the things it really does is it makes taking a look at these different images that you may be looking at from hard drives, it makes looking at those a lot easier. So a tool like FTK will automate a lot of the basic analysis for you and will pull a lot of stuff out, so it's a lot easier for you to get to quickly the evidence that you need and point you in directions where you may need to look a little bit more deeply, or whether you need to do some more analysis or go looking for more evidence. So FTK actually has a lot of automated functionality that's really nice. Now, we looked at ProDiscover. That's got some capabilities similar to what we're looking at in FTK. Actually, the most popular forensic software probably is a tool called Encase. And that, again, is a Windows-only program. You need to be running Windows to run Encase. And Encase is kind of the standard for forensic software. Most of the time when you're looking at law enforcement and you're doing forensic investigation for law enforcement, they're probably working with Encase as the software that they are using to manage their cases and looking for information of a digital nature. So Encase is a Windows program as well. So again, you've got these decisions that you need to make in terms of what operating system you're going to be running. Now, Unix has some advantages because it's got some tools that are just built into it, and you can make use of those. And there are also forensics programs that are available for Unix. We didn't actually talk about them. One of them is called SleuthKit, and there's a graphical interface for it called Autopsy. So you can actually use that. But if you're looking for commercial grade, real high powered forensic toolkits, then you really need to be looking at the Windows side because that's just where the programs live. So some of it has to do with how much budget you've got available, how much money you can spend on this forensic workstation that you're building. And some of it has to do with what you're comfortable with. If you like graphical programs and like to click around through things, then Windows may be a better bet for you. If you're much happier in the command line world and can keep track of a lot of the details of an investigation yourself and want to go digging through the data manually, then you may be happier on the Unix side in using the command line tools that are there.